Hello everyone, this is my 7-round NFL mock draft for the Miami Dolphins using PFF's simulator. Let's jump right in. At the first overall pick that the Miami Dolphins have, number 5, I took Tua Tagovailoa, University of Alabama quarterback. Why? Well, I think he's just too good of a prospect to pass up here. The major risk with him is, of course, his health concerns. Not that he won't come back from the hip injury. I think more so the major concerns with him is that future injuries. The hip, it looks like it's pretty good. It's going to recover, but he's had ankle injuries, he's had other injuries, he's missed a fair bit of time in college already, and especially with a quarterback, the Alabama offensive line was really above average, really quite good. They have a lot of first-round prospects on that offensive line, but yet Tua was still getting injured. And he was taking the hits that he was taking, they didn't really look all that devastating, but yet he was still getting injured on those sorts of plays. And to me, that is pretty concerning. But the Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, of course, is not the future of that franchise, and they need to find a quarterback to lead them into the future. Tua could be that quarterback. I think the reward outweighs the risk here. I would not take him at like 2 or 3. I would not move up because, once again, that injury risk, I think that there's like a 50-50 chance that he plays like less than 1 or 2 years in the NFL because of those health concerns. Moving on, to pick 18, I selected Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU University. He's a burner. He's a speed guy. He's great at stacking the cornerback. He gets by them really, really well. Amazing on the fade routes. Second in this class only to Henry Ruggs III. I really like him a lot. People are kind of up and down on him. I think he can run more routes than just the fade patterns and maybe like posts or slants, stuff like that, like speed routes. I think he's more than that. He's pretty dynamic with the ball in his hands, and he makes tremendous catches as well. Like you see him, and he's got really good leaping ability, so he can go up and get the ball. The Dolphins, beyond Devontae Parker, they need other wide receiver help. This draft has a lot of wide receivers, so I feel like going with the strength of the draft and selecting a wide receiver here is a really smart move. Moving on to 26, I selected AJ Epinesa. He's listed as an edge player here from the University of Iowa. I see him more as a defensive tackle. I think he really fits the scheme really well from the Bill Belichick tree. I think he's like a Trey Flowers kind of player. He can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. I really prefer him on the inside because I think his power and his technique and his hands play a lot better there. His speed off the edge is just really, really lacking. He only ran like a 5.0 40-yard dash, and his explosion numbers, like his broad jump and his vert, were not very good either. So he's a player that maybe he'll do okay on the edge in the NFL, but I feel a lot less confident in his ability to pass rush on the outside versus the inside. And with the 3-4 Brian Flores' scheme from the Bill Belichick tree, I think he fits that perfectly. He's going to be really strong and stout at the point of attack, and he's going to have power and technique to be able to rush from the inside, and that's what I really, really like about his game. Moving on to selection 39, I took Antoine Winfield Jr., safety, University of Minnesota. This is another guy that I like a lot. I think he has tremendous instincts, a lot of really good speed to his game, And this is the point in the secondary where the Miami Dolphins have a weakness. Eric Rowe and their other safety players right now they're honestly, I don't think they're very good. Their cornerbacks, of course, are top tier. They're excellent corners, but their safeties are below average, I would say, right now. And Antoine Winfield Jr. would bolster and improve that unit a ton. At 56, I selected Jonah Jackson, guard, Ohio State University. Simply put, I think he's the best guard in this draft. I agree a lot with PFF, Pro Football Focus's analysis on this guy. He's got tremendous balance, really good in pass protection, could improve his strength a bit, and could improve then a bit in the run game, but he's really good value here because I think he's the best guard in this draft. He might even go in the real draft lower than this, but I wanted to take him here. Yes, the Dolphins just just signed Eric Flowers recently in free agency, but Eric Flowers, even last year for the Redskins, was not that great of a guard. He was just very average. And so Jonah Jackson improves the guards for the Dolphins. Moving on, picks 70, Troy Dye, linebacker, University of Oregon. What I like about him is I think he's very versatile, and he can do a lot of things quite well. He's above average going back and covering tight ends and running backs. He can do that pretty well. His instincts in the run game are solid as well. He's just overall a very above average, safe kind of linebacker, and the Dolphins, they need that. They don't have anyone, really any linebacker of note on that defense, so that's another place that can be improved. Moving on, selection 83, I took Ben Bartch, tackle out of St. John's University, Division III. The Dolphins need all the help they can get on the offensive line, and I think Bartch can play right tackle, left tackle. Both of those spots can be improved because the Dolphins had one of the worst offensive lines in the entire NFL last year. So with Jonah Jackson and then Bartch as well, that's really going to help improve that line, so to try and keep Tua healthy or whatever quarterback that the Dolphins eventually get in there as their long-term guy. With the next couple of selections, I want to talk about them as a group because with my drafting philosophy, I consider maybe about the first 100 or 120 players. Those guys should come in and be able to start or at least compete a ton with the starters that you have there and push the starters there. All the players after that in a particular draft or in any draft, I think those guys are just depth players, special teamers, players that really, there's not a high chance of them becoming Pro Bowlers or very good really. So these next couple of picks, I just wanted to add some competition mostly, so I took Brandon Jones, a safety out of University of Texas, Gabriel Davis, wide receiver, UCF, University of Central Florida, Reggie Robinson, the second, cornerback, University of Tulsa, Danny Pinter, tackle, Ball State, and then Joshua Kelly, running back, UCLA. Highlight out of there, in this entire draft, I only took one running back, and it was the last selection that the Dolphins had. Why I did that is because I don't really value running back a ton. I think Kelly can be pretty solid for them. Yes, they don't have any superstar there at running back, but they don't need one. They need to improve their wide receivers, hope to get more from their tight end, and really have an amazing passing attack. They don't really need to have a superstar running back to have a lot of wins in the NFL. Also, Reggie Robinson II, I want to highlight him because I like his speed and size combination, and on tape he plays decently well. He's a press man kind of cover guy, so he fits with the Miami Dolphins scheme and just adds some depth, even though they already have two very, very good starters there. Gabriel Davis, I selected him because I wanted more wide receivers. Brandon Jones was just because I felt like he was the best available player at that point, and also some more safety competition because I think that's a kind of a hole in that defense, a place that can be improved. And then finally, Danny Pinter. The thing with him was that he was the best tackle available, and as you know, offensive line needs to be improved for the Miami Dolphins. So just throwing darts at the board, throwing more resources there, just to see if we can get a little bit of incremental improvement for the Miami Dolphins. Finally, I'm going to talk about the trade that I did. I moved up from 141 all the way to the 83rd selection, and I had to give up 173 and 227 to do that. PFF grades this as a really not in our favor, but I have a very big distinction between the top 120 picks and all the picks after that. I think the top 120, you have at least a minimum of a 10% chance of hitting on a Pro Bowl / above average player, while after that point in the draft, from 121 till the end, I think players are almost no different than UDFAs, undrafted free agents. They only hit as an above average player on about 2% of the time. So to give up 3 picks that hit on 2% of the time versus 1 pick that'll hit approximately 10% of the time as an above average player, I think that's perfectly reasonable, especially because the Dolphins had like 10 or 14 picks in this draft. They had so many already, and you know, half these players might not even make the right, not from this particular draft, but in every draft, half or more of the players don't even end up making the roster usually. So to move up and get someone that I feel really good about, like Ben Barch, because I think he's a really good value there. And tackle, of course, is a huge need for the Dolphins. I think that trade is not as bad as the grading would indicate here. Okay, so overall, I just want to summarize. I wanted to attack multiple different positions in this draft for the Dolphins. I only took Tua because he fell to the 5th pick. I don't want to trade up. I don't want to give up any first-round picks for him because, once again, the health concerns with him makes it way too risky to be giving up additional picks to try and get him. But if he falls, I feel comfortable. Even if he busts out, taking him at 5 and he never plays it down for the Dolphins, I still think the risk-reward was worth it. And, you know, there's not much else to say. I appreciate it if you've made it all the way through. Thank you very much, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.